उससे ज्यादा हो रहे हैं। साथियों, पिछले दिनों इंटरनेशनल लेबर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का एक वैश्विक समागम था और उसमें भारत ने बहुत बड़ी ऊंचाई प्राप्त की है। आईएलओ का कहना है कि 90 करोड़ से ज्यादा लोग भारत में अब सोशल सिक्योरिटी के दायरे में है। ये अपने आप में एक बहुत बड़ा अचीवमेंट है। उसी प्रकार से वैश्विक संस्था WHO ने ये कहा है कि भारत अब आंख की जो बीमारी आमतौर पर बारिश के सीजन में ज्यादा देखी जाती थी, ट्रैकोमा, अब भारत को WHO ने ट्रैकोमा फ्री घोषित किया है। तो आरोग्य के क्षेत्र में भी ये अपने आप में एक महत्वपूर्ण भारत के लिए सिद्धि है। साथियों, पहलगाम की क्रूर अत्याचार, नरसंहार, पूरी दुनिया चौंक उठी थी। आतंकवादी और आतंकवादी के आके दुनिया का ध्यान उनकी तरफ केंद्रित हुआ था और उस समय दल हित छोड़ करके देश हित में हमारे ज्यादातर दलों के प्रतिनिधि, ज्यादातर राज्यों के प्रतिनिधि विश्व भ्रमण किया, दुनिया के अनेक देशों में गए और एक स्वर से दुनिया के सामने आतंकवादियों का आका पाकिस्तान को बेनकाब करने का एक बहुत सफल अभियान चलाया। मैं आज राष्ट्रहित में किए गए इस महत्वपूर्ण कार्य के लिए उन सभी सांसदों की सराहना करना चाहता हूं, सभी दलों की सराहना करना चाहता हूं और उसने देश में एक सकारात्मक वातावरण पैदा किया। विश्व ने भारत की बात को स्वीकार करने की दिशा में अपने मन के द्वार खोले और इसके लिए ये हमारे सांसदगण, हमारे राजनीतिक दल सराहना करने के मेरे लिए सौभाग्य है। साथियों, हम जानते हैं कि ये स्पिरिट, एक स्वर, एक एकता का वातावरण देश को कितना उत्साह से भर देता है। विजयोत्सव का ये पर्व इस मॉनसून सत्र में भी उसी भाव से प्रकट होगा। देश की सैन्य शक्ति को सराहना करेगा, देश के सामर्थ्य का गौरवगान करेगा और देश के 140 करोड़ नागरिकों को नई प्रेरणा का कारण बनेगा। मुझे विश्वास है कि हम सब मिलकर के डिफेंस के क्षेत्र में आत्मनिर्भर होने के इन प्रयासों को बल दें, सेना के सामर्थ्य की सराहना करें और मैं आज देशवासियों के सामने जरूर कहूंगा और देश के राजनीतिक दलों से भी कहूंगा कि देश ने एकता की ताकत देखी है, एक स्वर का सामर्थ्य क्या होता है देखा है। तो सदन में से भी सभी माननीय सांसद उसको बल दें, उसको आगे बढ़ाएं और मैं जरूर कहूंगा, राजनीतिक दल अलग अलग हैं, हर एक का अपना एक एजेंडा है, अपनी एक भूमिका है, लेकिन मैं इस वास्तविकता को स्वीकार करता हूं कि दल हित में मत भले न मिले, लेकिन देश हित में मन जरूर मिले। इसी एक भावना के साथ इस मॉनसून सत्र से देश के विकास यात्रा को बल देने वाले, देश की प्रगति को बल देने वाले, देश के नागरिकों को सामर्थ्य देने वाले अनेक विधेयक प्रस्तावित हैं। सदन विस्तृत चर्चा करके उसको भी पारित करेगा। मेरी सभी माननीय सांसदों से उत्तम डिबेट चलाने के लिए शुभकामनाएं हैं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
तू ही तो है जिसकी सच्चाई वाली क्लैरिटी की वजह से मैं आज यहाँ हूँ।
गोल्ड प्लस सिल्वॉक्सी मिरर्स, ऐसी क्लैरिटी कि आपको सिर्फ सच नजर आए, चाहे कितने भी साल बीत जाएं।
They promised guaranteed returns. They advertised illegal trading in broad daylight. But NDTV Profit picked up the trail.
2 साल हो गए मैडम। डब्बा ट्रेडिंग कब से चल रहा है पता है मैडम आपको? हम और आप तो जन्म भी नहीं हुआ था हमारा।
We called, we questioned, we exposed.
ये आपको बिल्कुल उसका ऐसे हल्का सा भी खौफ नहीं है।
मैडम एक बात को खौफ किस लिए रखना चाहिए तो बताओ, कौन सा गलत काम कर रहा हूँ मैं?
Because your money deserves protection, not empty promises. Easy money, hard lesson. Stay alert. Verify before you invest.
जनता के पास सवाल ही सवाल है। जवाब ढूंढने को वो देखती है न्यूज और देखती है यहां तो सवालों का मायाजाल है। ऊपर से ये अलग फाइट, कोई पूरा लेफ्ट तो कोई पूरा राइट है। बीच में मुद्दे के साथ कौन है, जनता को जवाब चाहिए। इसीलिए सवालों की परेड नहीं, मैं लाऊंगा खबरों की कचहरी। मैं शुभांकर मिश्रा, मेरे साथ देखिए कचहरी रात 8 बजे सिर्फ एनडीटीवी इंडिया पर।
Imports become the exception rather than the norm, and increasingly we do almost last year, for example, of the contracts that we signed of record 2,09,000 crores, 81% was awarded to the domestic industry. Our intent is to
Hi, thanks so much for joining in. You're watching NDTV Profit. This is Ask Profit. This is a show that gets you answers to all of your stock-related questions. At this point in the morning, you have gains of about 0.4% for the Nifty 50, and the broader markets are not looking as positive. Of course, the small cap index losing ground, but we've seen quite a recovery from the low point of the day for both the benchmark Nifty 50 as well as the broader markets. And even though the small cap index is trading with cuts of 0.2%, there has been a sizable recovery. Of course, we'll drill deep into the reasons why this is taking place. Among other things, the most important thing to focus on is earnings. And you have HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank that have posted their numbers over the weekend, and you have reactions in both of these stocks as well as Reliance Industries. But while we're on the subject of earnings and on banks, The one stock that took a beating on Friday and that continues to languish a little bit, and I would think that that is the case, Axis Bank, is recovered from the low point of the day, but remember, it took a knock of 5% on Friday, and that had to do with a very aggressive provisioning that it had to do, and also the fact that its gross slippages increased, that is, its bad loans, incremental new bad loans increased quite dramatically. Now, a lot of people were wondering why this took place, and NDTV Profit has actually spoken to sources. In fact, Vishwanath Nair has, and what he's found out is that it may not actually be something that the bank did itself. It might have been nudged to do so. Vishy, that's exactly what your sources are pointing out, right? The RBI might have nudged them.
Right, Alex. So there was a nudge from the regulator. That's what our sources are telling us at this point in time, is that during the Q4 review of asset quality policy norms of the bank, essentially what was pointed out was that the bank was taking a liberal interpretation of RBI's norms on how certain assets can be classified or upgraded into standard category. What happens is typically once an account which is in the cash credit or overdraft or one-time settlement rules, if those accounts go into NPA, the banks are required to take back full recovery before they can upgrade loan accounts. However, it seems that what was happening at Axis Bank was slightly different. It was that there were certain liberal sort of decisions being taken, and on the basis of that, upgradations were happening. And the RBI seems to have pointed out to the bank that this doesn't need to happen. You need to course correct as soon as possible, actually as soon as Q1. And that is exactly what the bank did. So the result of that was an 8,200 crore slippages during Q1, which was a massive jump from about 4,000 odd crore in Q4. So according to what the bank has disclosed on its own, if this technical changes had not happened, the slippages for the quarter would have been close to 4,500 odd crores. So this jump has been significant for Axis Bank, and that is coming in because the RBI is saying that you need to fix whatever processes are there in place. What sources are also pointing out is that the RBI is trying to take away any kind of discretionary rule making as far as bank NPA norms are concerned, and that's exactly why in Axis Bank case it has been pointed out that these are the rules and this needs to be a straight through processing. That is, that there are parameters, there are qualitative parameters on the basis of which accounts are classified as NPA or standard, and that needs to be followed no matter what.
Okay, Vishy, thank you so much for bringing those details to us. In fact, it's a very important clarification that justifies the kind of downtick that we saw in trade on Friday for Axis Bank. The stock is down around 0.5% today as we speak. But that's with regards to where Axis Bank stands. Let's welcome in our guest for the day, Brijesh Ayer of IDBI Capital and Saurabh Jain of SMC Global Securities joining us now. Welcome to both of you, gentlemen. I'll quickly take up our first caller for the day. Dheeraj is calling us from Hyderabad. Dheeraj, hi, a very good morning to you. How can we help you today?
Good morning, ma'am. My query is regarding Mastic.
Okay.
I purchased 41 shares of Mastic at 2751.
Okay.
So is it good to hold on, stick on to it for a short-term trade, or should I shift to something like IRDA? Is my query, ma'am.
Okay, Dheeraj, I got your question. I'll take this up. I think I'll take this up with Brijesh first. Brijesh, your view on Mastic in terms of the Q1, the entire quarter was muted, but overall, we saw the revenue from American operations saw a downtick of around 10 basis points, and UK and Europe all saw an uptick of around 8%. But with regards to where charts are concerned, what are they indicating?
Hi, morning. So basically today after a very long time, I think there is a good buying, almost 10% up. So I think there is a volume which is kicked in. So this momentum can go back to 3,000, 3,100 level. So I think the charts are suggesting positive bias. So somebody is having a position should hold on the long bets, and closer to 3,001 or 3,100, one should review it.
And what is the ideal time frame in your opinion, Brijesh, that one should be willing to hold it?
Or maybe in the next 2 weeks' time.
Okay. And where would you put the stop loss?
below the swing low, which is 24.50.
24.50, that's quite a deep stop loss. So bear that in mind as well. Dheeraj, hopefully this answers your question. We've got the first question on WhatsApp from Mohit. And by the way, sorry, I didn't tell you. It's pretty self-evident, but then I'm going to point it out nonetheless. The number on the top of the screen is where you can send us a message, and you can call us on the number at the bottom of the screen, as Dheeraj did at the start today. Campus Activewear is the name of the counter that we're talking about next, and Mohit from Ludhiana has got the next question. He's bought at levels of 284. He says that his time frame is 2 years. Saurabh, very good morning to you. Would you hold this for a period of 2 years, or are there better prospects?
In this space, what we are seeing that the shoemakers are not doing enough. I mean, the Campus Active issue came and the stock got, on the valuation side, it made quite a decent high, and then because of the operating performance, the stock is coming down. I mean, there is no clarity with respect to the earnings. Normally, there is a seasonality in the business also. In this space, what we like is Metro shoes. I think it is better to switch money to Metro.
Okay, that's interesting. Shifting to Metro is a better option in the footwear space, is what Saurabh believes. All right. Our next caller, Sandeep, is calling us from Mumbai. Sandeep, hi, a very good morning to you. How can we help you today?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. I'm holding 2,000 shares of Ujjivan Small Finance Bank at the rate of 56 rupees. So I just was wondering, what should I do? Should I hold on or should I exit?
When you bought this from a longer term perspective, or did you see the charts?
Yes, long term.
Okay, all right. I'll take this up with Saurabh then. Saurabh, your view on Ujjivan Small Finance Bank?
See, our view is that in the MFI space there is a lot of pain, and specifically with the Ujjivan Small Finance Bank, in the recent quarters we saw there is a rise in the NPAs and drag in the profitability side. On the valuation side, yes, it looks that it is a value buy, but from the balance sheet point of view, I don't think so. It is a good buy. In the same space, recently L&T Finance also came with the numbers, but they are also expecting that the pain in the MFI would remain for next 2 quarters. So I think it is better to refrain.
All right, Vedanta is the next question, and interestingly, it's a question for 6 months, though it's a fundamental view that is being sought. Arun has got this question. He's writing in from Ghaziabad. He's bought at levels of 470 rupees per share. 350 shares have been bought, not too far away from the current market price. What is the view, Saurabh, on the fundamentals?
I think a lot is happening on the world arena, but we are somewhat bullish on the metal space. We expect that the metals will shine. And that's the reason we are bullish on the metal stock, and so is on Vedanta.
So hold, and so therefore 6 months, or do you think that he should extend his time horizon?
He can extend his time horizon.
Okay, we have to take a very quick break. Viewers, I understand this is a bit of a curtailed session so far, but we'll be back on the other side and we'll take as many questions as possible, so do stay tuned.
They promised guaranteed returns. They advertised illegal trading in broad daylight. But NDTV Profit picked up the trail.
2 साल हो गए मैडम. डब्बा ट्रेडिंग कब से चल रहा है पता है मैडम आपको? आप तो जन्म भी नहीं हुआ था हमारा.
We called, we questioned, We expose.
ये आपको बिल्कुल उसका ऐसे हल्का सा भी खौफ नहीं है।
मैडम एक बात को खौफ किस लिए रखना चाहिए तो बताओ, कौन सा गलत काम कर रहा हूँ मैं?
Because your money deserves protection, not empty promises. Easy money, hard lesson. Stay alert. Verify before you invest.
जनता के पास सवाल ही सवाल है, जवाब ढूंढने को वो देखती है न्यूज और देखती है यहां तो सवालों का मायाजाल है। ऊपर से ये अलग फाइट है, कोई पूरा लेफ्ट तो कोई पूरा राइट है, बीच में मुद्दे के साथ कौन है, जनता को जवाब चाहिए। इसीलिए सवालों की परेड नहीं, मैं लाऊंगा खबरों की कचहरी। मैं शुभांकर मिश्रा, मेरे साथ देखिए कचहरी रात 8 बजे सिर्फ एनडीटीवी इंडिया पर।
Imports become the exception rather than the norm, and increasingly we do almost last year, for example, of the contracts that we signed of record 2,09,000 crores, 81% was awarded to the domestic industry. Our intent is to manufacture in India, preferably with design also in India.
I am so elated to be on the same screen as the Defense Secretary, and I get a chance to talk about what he said.
In certain areas, like for example, artillery guns and armored vehicles, or in some categories of missiles like the BrahMos and the Akash, we've come of age.
What Defense Secretary Sir said is 100% true, and today private industry can really increase their involvement in R&D.
I am very proud to say that we make in our categories that we have been supplying to our defense forces some of the best platforms in the world.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I hold CDSL for the long term? Buy, sell or hold?
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
Do you really know the company you invest in? What is the real picture behind presentations and claims? Is the outlook as rosy as the company claims? Know Your Company, powered by NDTV Profit Research, shines a light on the biggest stock market movers.
जनता के पास सवाल ही सवाल है, जवाब ढूंढने को वो देखती है न्यूज और देखती है यहां तो सवालों का मायाजाल है। ऊपर से ये अलग फाइट है, कोई पूरा लेफ्ट तो कोई पूरा राइट है, बीच में मुद्दे के साथ कौन है, जनता को जवाब चाहिए। इसीलिए सवालों की परेड नहीं, मैं लाऊंगा खबरों की कचहरी। मैं शुभांकर मिश्रा, मेरे साथ देखिए कचहरी रात 8 बजे सिर्फ एनडीटीवी इंडिया पर।
Imports become the exception rather than the norm, and increasingly we do almost.
Welcome back. You're watching Ask Profit, and this show gets you answers to all of your stock-related questions. We're going to run through several because we've had to cut short this query segment today. But we're joined on this side of the break by Ajit Mishra of Religare Broking. Ajit, very good morning to you and welcome to the show. On this side of the break, the first question we're taking is from Pradeep, who's calling us from Bengaluru. Pradeep, thanks so much for waiting by. How can we help you today?
Alex, good morning.
Good morning.
I am holding 100 shares of Waaree Renewable.
Okay.
Bought at 282 rupees.
All right.
Now, there is a lot of stress on renewables, so I just wanted to ask whether I should hold on to it for say another 6 months, and what would be the target price in another 6 months to 1 year?
Okay. I believe what you're referring to is what is happening in the United States with regard to renewables, right?
Yes.
Because in India, by the way, the renewable capacity that has been built is quite substantial. So I guess the focus that you have is on whether or not these outward-facing companies that are in the renewable space, Waaree in particular, should be held on to. So let me take the question to Saurabh. Saurabh, the stock is down another 5% today, but he's still gaining. He's in the green to the extent of 84,000 rupees or thereabouts. Should he book out and move to some of the companies that are more domestic focused?
You're absolutely right, Alex. The concerns are quite legitimate. Also, considering the fact that the valuations are too high. So, in my opinion, yes, he can take money off the table and maybe he can choose to invest in the renewables like NHPC or maybe NTPC.
Okay, so sell is the view on Waaree Renewables that Saurabh has. Our next caller, Narayan Rao, is calling us from Visakhapatnam. Mr. Rao, hi, a very good morning to you. How can we help you today?
Good morning, Mahima. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, sir.
Today I elected the Anthem Biosense Limited.
Okay.
Today is listing, 1 lakh elected to me, 26 shares. What is the prospect of company for the long period?
Okay.
2 to 3 years.
Okay, Mr. Narayan, I got your question.
Mahima, can I hold the stocks or can I book the profit? Can I add on the claim?
Okay, got your question, Mr. Rao. I'll take this up with Saurabh quickly. Saurabh, any view on Anthem Biosciences that got listed today? Stellar listing for sure. Would you recommend for Mr. Rao to continue to hold and add more at lower levels, or would you recommend him to book profits?
Since it is a new listing, won't be able to go.
Okay, all right. So, I believe we won't have enough data on the charts as well to give you an answer on that, Mr. Rao. So, we'll come back to you, probably in the next show you can go ahead and ask the same query. But the next question then is from Chandan Jain, who is writing us from Hubli. And his question is on two counters, that is CDSL or BSC, and wants to know if he can go ahead and invest in one of these counters. Ajit, I'll come to you on this. A very good afternoon to you. Would you prefer a CDSL right now on the charts or a BSC?
Hi, good morning. So, see, among these two, both are trading in tandem largely, if you see, at least in the last 2-3 months of price action. But as of now, comparison to the BSC, CDSL looks comparatively better. The stock has witnessed decent profit taking of late. It's currently hovering around short-term averages. At lower end, close to around 1650, 1600 area, we are seeing buying interest emerging, and around 1800, 1850 is something that the upside is capped. So if the view is very short-term, one should rather wait and accumulate it gradually in this range of 1600, 1650. And around 1850 should be a first target. And once we cross that mark, then the record high zone close to around 1950, something that one can wait for. For the entire position, 50-50 should be the strict stop loss.
Okay, I was looking at my watch very closely to figure out what the time is. Mahima, good afternoon.
Good morning, Alex.
Okay, all right. The next question is on Anant Raj, and fundamental view is being sought by Kishore Kambampati, who's writing in from Hyderabad. And therefore, I'm going to come to you on this one. He's not entered yet, and he's wondering whether to make a fundamental entry. Saurabh, what's the view on Anant Raj?
See, we have a view on the real estate sector that while the large players might do well, but the companies like Anant Raj, which were market favorite because of the its other businesses like something like hyperscale activity and all, I think won't make much of help in terms of making gains. So instead of Anant Raj, we like Prestige or maybe DLF.
Or DLF. So therefore, actually the question was a little more involved than that, Saurabh. He's actually looking to play the data center theme, if at all, because this is, a lot of people are saying, a budding sector. A lot of people will require, companies will require data centers. Is there a particular stock that you can recommend that is in that business?
Not in particular.
Not in particular. Okay. All right. So there you go. So he's given you the views. Saurabh has given you the views on real estate. IRB Infra is the name of the counter we're talking about next. And Jacob from the UAE is writing in. He's bought it at the current market price, or rather he bought it on the 19th of May. And he's asking if he can accumulate now. His time horizon is 5 years. And he's a little frustrated, he says, with his investment. It's not done too much. So, on the fundamentals, IRB Infra, would you hold? Would you add more?
Not best of the company in the lot. Rather, I would suggest to, if you want to be in this space, I think HT Infra is much better company to accumulate.
All right. The next question we're taking is from Pramod, who's writing in from Bengaluru. SKF India is the name of the counter that he's talking about. And again, he's wondering whether to hold for the long-term basis. He's bought at levels of 6,450 last year. The stock is currently trading much below his buy price at 4,942. Saurabh, on the fundamentals, SKF, it's been through the ringer, but it has recovered from those low points. Would you say he can hold for the long term?
I think a lot of pressure is there on the automobile sales, and so some of the auto ancillaries also face same pressure. But if you are there for the long term, I think the double digits sales should return in a matter of maybe 3-4 quarters, and so we'll see the OEMs and the auto ancillaries running up again. So if you have long term, you can hold SKF.
Okay, you can hold SKF if you've got a long-term view. Arvind is calling us from Uttar Pradesh. Arvind ji, नमस्कार. हम कैसे मदद कर सकते हैं आपकी?
नमस्कार सर.
बोलिए
सर जी, मेरे पास ग्रेट ईस्टर्न शिपिंग के शेयर्स हैं, 45 शेयर्स हैं, 105 रुपए के रेट पे. एक्चुअली क्या कंपनी तो
1005
पे 1005 पे है सर. 45 शेयर्स है सर. मेरा टाइम हॉरिजन 1 साल का है.
ओके.
अब हाँ तो एक्चुअली काफी दिनों से इसी रेट के रेंज के आसपास घूम रहा है, 40 रुपए ऊपर नीचे जी. तो मैं एक्चुअली ब्रेकआउट जोन जानना चाह रहा हूँ कि क्या होंगे इसके, कैसे क्या रहेंगे.
जी मैं समझ सकता हूँ. अजीत जी, आपसे सवाल है. आप चार्ट्स अगर देखेंगे तो फिर ये सारे डिफेंस काउंटर्स जो हैं हाई पॉइंट से गिर चुके हैं. आई थिंक एट द इंडेक्स लेवल 11% से ज़्यादा रिडक्शन हुआ है, डिक्लाइन हुआ है. तो इज दिस अ गुड लेवल टू अक्यूमुलेट? आप 1000 के आसपास आप अक्यूमुलेट करेंगे और ड्यूरेशन कितना रखना चाहेंगे और व्हाट इज द पोटेंशियल?
राइट. तो एलेक्स देखिए, जैसे कि आपने भी बताया कि डिफेंस रिलेटेड पैक, इनफैक्ट ऑलमोस्ट 2 हफ्ते हो चुके हैं कि वहाँ पे जो करेक्शन का टोन, आज थोड़ा बहुत स्टेबिलिटी नजर आ रही है वहाँ पे. बट जी शिपिंग की अगर बात करें तो यहाँ पे देखिए उस तरीके का पार्टिसिपेशन भी नहीं था, जो रिकवरी नहीं आई थी, और अभी ये स्टॉक अपने लॉन्ग टर्म एवरेजेस के पास होल्ड कर रहा है. तो जैसा कि इनका 1 साल का नजरिया है, मेरे हिसाब से अभी इनको वेट एंड वॉच की सिचुएशन में है ये स्टॉक. तो 1050 के ऊपर तब जाके एक मोमेंटम आएगा स्टॉक में. तब तक के लिए उनको वेट करना चाहिए, कोई फ्रेश पोजीशन और ऐड ना करें, और एग्जिस्टिंग पोजीशन को भी 930 के एक स्टॉप लॉस के साथ होल्ड करें. क्योंकि ओवरऑल टोन अभी भी लग रहा है कि साइडवेज टू पॉजिटिव बना रहेगा, बट जो एक्चुअल मोमेंटम आएगा वो 1050 के ऊपर आएगा. उस केस में करीब 1200 से लेकर 1250 तक के टारगेट्स आप अरविंद जी होल्ड कर सकते हैं.
ओके. और जनरली आप ये नोटिस करेंगे कि ये जो थीम्स पे जो रन करती है स्टॉक्स, वो कभी ना कभी देर इज़ अ ड्रॉप ऑफ, एंड दैट इज़ व्हाट वी हैव सीन इन द डिफेंस काउंटर्स एज वेल. इफ यू कैन पुल अप द डिफेंस इंडेक्स for the last 3 months, if it's possible, you will see that there is a considerable drop off from that high point of maybe about a month back, end of June, start of July, where you saw a bit of a drop off. We've got Dream Folks that we're talking about next, and Vishwanathan Nair is writing in from Cochin, and he's asking whether this is a good contrarian buy at this point. Now, this is a company that has been through a bit of a troubled time on the fundamentals because of the cancelling of certain contracts with leading banks. Of course, you know that these are what they do is they manage the lounges at airports, and the stock is down about 33%. So Ajit, on the technicals is what he's asking. Is this a good time to buy if you have a relatively short-term time frame, or would you in all pragmatism and caution avoid something like this?
So Alex, I would certainly avoid, because the way the stock has declined in the last leg, means from 240 to 160 zone, it was almost vertical, and that too with very substantial higher volumes. Still, we are not seeing any sign of respite despite this sharp carnage. And I believe that even for the short-term bounce, the stock should decisively cross this 162, 163 levels. Then only we can see some short-term respite toward, let's say, 175, 180. So when the markets are doing well, when we have ample of opportunity in the mid-cap and small-cap space, refrain from all these kind of adventures, especially the stocks which are trading at the 52 weeks low.
Okay, so that's with regards to where Dreamfolk stands. Our next caller, Pradeep, is calling us from Visakhapatnam. Pradeep, hi, a very good morning to you. How can we help you today?
Hi, good morning, and thanks for taking my query. I wanted to know if I can buy shares of Canara Bank for a medium-term outlook.
Okay. Okay, Pradeep, I got your question. I'll take this up with Saurabh quickly. Saurabh, your view on Canara Bank, should he make an entry right now from a medium-term perspective?
We are positive on the banking space and especially on the PSU space. The valuations and the growth on the PSU bank sides are looking good. So from the long-term perspective, yes, it is good to buy.
Actually, yeah. All right. So that's view on Canara Bank. Let's talk about Bajaj Housing Finance. Sticking with the finance space, and the company, of course, has posted its numbers not too long back. Lakshman from Bellary is asking whether to hold or sell. He's bought at levels of 150 rupees, so slightly elevated. Saurabh, on the fundamentals, would you hold this? Would you add more at this price? Because it's not moved anywhere for quite a while.
See, the earnings were good, and I feel that going forward, the earnings will be healthy only, which will cushion the downside. I think it is a matter of time. If you can hold it, I think you will get your price. So my sense is hold for long term.
Okay, hold is the call for the long term on Bajaj Housing Finance. Venkat is calling us from Bengaluru. Venkat, very good morning to you. How can we help you today?
Good morning, sir. Good morning to the panel.
Yes.
So my query is on GR Infra. I bought 2 years ago 28 shares around 1151. It is testing my patience. It's going high and coming down again. It's in and around. I have now 10% profit. So should I hold or exit, or at what point I can book the profit?
Okay. So am I right in assuming that you're looking for a technical view, Venkat, on the charts?
Yes, because from 2 years I am holding this. So is my long-term view gone now? Confused. So.
It's gone out of the window, and you're looking for the best price to sell. I understand. I got it.
Yeah.
So let me go to Ajit on this one. He's lost his patience, Ajit, with GR Infra, and so he's looking for an exit. What is the level that he should sell at?
So, Alex, the stock has rebounded very strongly in last few months. Currently, we are seeing a very tight range consolidation around the long-term averages. So, it's a make-or-break area basically. 1230, which is not far from the current area, should be strict stop loss. Though the stock is testing patience, maybe the earnings could be around the corner, and that may trigger next leg of the rebound. So, probably with that level is strict stop loss. One can wait for 1400, 1450. That would be the area where one can look to go exit.
Okay, so that's with regards to where GR Infra stands. The next question is on Godrej Consumer Product. Balakrishna wants to know from a shorter term perspective, is already holding 100 shares at 1291 a piece and wants to know 1 month's target on this particular counter. Ajit, I'll stick with you for this question as well. Godrej Consumer, what are the charts indicating?
So after this prolonged underperformance, we are finally seeing some traction, decisive traction in the FMCG space, and Godrej CP has also rebounded very strongly of late. It retested its previous swing high around 1300 mark, and we are seeing a marginal drift post that. So the tone looks positive. There could be some consolidation since the view is 1 month. His stop loss should be now at 1200, and once we cross, let's say 1300 mark, he can wait for 1380, 1400 as the positional targets.
I want to draw your attention to the bottom of the screen. And by the way, when you're watching NDTV Profit, of course, you should listen to Mahima and myself and the panelists that will speak to you, but also keep one eye on the earnings updates that you see at the bottom of the screen. Of course, that's gone now. Dodla Dairies is the counter that I'm talking about, and pull up the intraday chart. you see it's fallen off the cliff. It's down about 4% right now, and that's because the EBITDA margins have actually contracted in the quarter gone by. The PAT number seems to be lower by about 3% or thereabouts at 62.9%. So despite a 10.5% uptick in top line, you have a contraction in margin, which seems to be something that the street is not liked. Of course, the EBITDA is also contracted by as much as 21.5%. And Mahima, you track the company, right?
Yeah, cost of raw material has gone up. It's interesting because, I was looking at Hatsun Agro's earnings and they were of similar nature. But the reason why Hatsun Agro is buzzing in trade today is because there was an interesting note that by ICICI Securities, which said that cooperative housing societies are now, giving a better rate for milk, which is positive for these companies. And that's the reason as to why Hatsun Agro is buzzing. But Dodla Dairy, again, on the back of earnings, again, yet another quarter where it's very earnings specific, right? If you take, if there's a beating in terms of net profit and EBITDA, the stock is completely beaten down. And that's what we are seeing in this case as well. The stock started with around 1.5% of gains, I think, in the day today, and it's down 3.5% as we speak.
Sharp fall. This is
very sharp fall.
A knee-jerk reaction. Let's see. Maybe we can call the management and speak to them and figure out what has happened. Godrej Consumer Product is the name of the counter that we're talking about. Okay, we're done with this. Let's move to the next one. TCS is the name of the counter, and Pramanik from Pune is bought at a price of 3,992 rupees per share. He's wondering whether to hold or exit with a 6-month time frame. He's currently incurring a significant loss because the stock has been under pressure. Ajit, on the technicals, on the charts, would you hold and where would you place your stop loss?
So Alex, we are seeing gradual decline post numbers, and we are very close to the previous swing low, close to around 3,020 was the area basically where it formed the swing low last time and then rebounded. So with that as a stop loss, definitely you should stay put in case of a recovery, but it's going to be very gradual because we have multiple hurdles around 3,350 and then around 3,400 and then eventually around 3,600 mark. So since his buy price is quite high, he should reevaluate his position once the stock crosses 3,400 mark again.
Okay, so that's with regards to where TCS stands. Our next caller, Shankar, is calling us from Kolkata. Shankar, hi, a very good morning to you. How can we help you today?
Good morning. I am having 50 shares of Nippon India, NAM, purchased at 709.
Okay.
So I wanted to know whether I should hold on for another, say, 1 or 2 years, or whether I should book out my profits.
Okay. Shankar, I'll take this up with Saurabh quickly. Saurabh, your view on Nippon Life. He's sitting on profits of 8,000 odd rupees right now. That's correct. What's your view?
If you're not in a hurry, hold for long-term. Company is good. I think the performance will be even better.
Okay, Nippon Life India Asset Management currently trading at 855. Hold is the view. It is time now to hit the rapid fire segment, and this is, remember, where we throw as many questions at you, Ajit and Saurabh, over the course of 2 minutes. The first question that we're taking is from Kaushik from Vadodara. LIC Housing Finance is the name of the counter. Is it a good level to accumulate? He's bought levels of 631. He's got a long-term view. Ajit?
Accumulate 600 closing stop loss, 725 target.
Okay, NBCC is the next counter. Sanjeev is holding 3,800 shares of this particular counter. Wants to know if he can continue to hold or not. Saurabh, your view?
Book profits.
RBL Bank for a period of 1 to 2 months. Results came over the weekend. He's making a 20% profit. Neha is writing in from Bengaluru. She's saying, apologies, it's weak on the charts per her understanding. Would you book profits? Ajit?
Yeah, book profits, please.
Karnataka Bank is the next counter. Pranay from Hyderabad wants to know if we can continue to hold the counter for the next 5 odd years. Saurabh, your view?
Switch to company like Indian Bank.
Okay, SBI bought at levels of 750. This is Pradeep from Kollam in Kerala asking whether to hold or exit and how long. Saurabh?
Hold for the long term.
Okay, Tilaknagar Industries is the next counter. Srikanth wants to know if he can continue to hold the 137 shares that he has. He's bought at the levels of 358. Saurabh, your view?
Hold for long term.
DAM Capital Advisors bought an average price of 285, ready to hold for 3 years. Rajan Iyer wants to know whether to do so. Saurabh?
You can hold.
Can I buy ABB at the current levels is what Bhupendra Mehta is asking. Ajit, your view on the charts?
Wait for a breakout above 6,000.
JP Power, Ajit, it's been running up. 3 to 6 month view. Hold or sell is the question. Sadanan wants to know.
Hold. 20 stop loss.
Okay, Usha wants to invest 1 lakh in hospital stock. She wants to know whether she can go ahead with Narayana Hrudayalaya or Kim's Hospital. Saurabh, your view?
Narayana is the better option.
Okay, Mazgon Dock Shipbuilders for a period of 3 months. Profit has declined. Should you book right now? Malesh wants to know. Ajit?
Hold with 26. Rather, yes, since the view is short term, he should definitely exit. Yeah.
Exit. All right, that's a view. Thank you so much, Saurabh, as well as Ajit, for joining in, for answering all the questions. Viewers, I understand this was a bit of a curtailed show, but we tried to take as many questions as possible, and hopefully the ones that we've discussed will help you, even if your specific question has not been answered. That brings us to the end of this edition of Ask Profit. From Mahima and myself and the team that put the show together, thank you so much for watching. Up next is Know Your Company. Do stay tuned.
That's huge. That is a biggie. It's out of there.
Gold Plus Clear Glass. Far हो या near, सब कुछ दिखे clear.
They promised guaranteed returns. They advertised illegal trading in broad daylight. But NDTV Profit picked up the trail.
2 साल हो गए मैडम. डब्बा ट्रेडिंग कब से चल रहा है पता है मैडम आपको? हम और आप तो जन्म भी नहीं हुआ था हमारा.
We called, we questioned, we exposed.
ये आपको बिल्कुल उसका ऐसे हल्का सा भी खौफ नहीं है।
मैडम एक बात को खौफ किस लिए रखना चाहिए तो बताओ, कौन सा गलत काम कर रहा हूँ मैं?
Because your money deserves protection, not empty promises. Easy money, hard lesson. Stay alert. Verify before you invest.
जनता के पास सवाल ही सवाल है, जवाब ढूंढने को वो देखती है न्यूज और देखती है यहां तो सवालों का माया जाल है। ऊपर से ये अलग फाइट है, कोई पूरा लेफ्ट तो कोई पूरा राइट है, बीच में मुद्दे के साथ कौन है, जनता को जवाब चाहिए। इसीलिए सवालों की परेड नहीं, मैं लाऊंगा खबरों की कचहरी। मैं शुभांकर मिश्रा, मेरे साथ देखिए कचहरी रात 8 बजे सिर्फ एनडीटीवी इंडिया पर।
Imports become the exception rather than the norm, and increasingly we do almost last year, for example, of the contracts that we signed of record 2,09,000 crores, 81% was awarded to the domestic industry. Our intent is to manufacture in India, preferably with design also in India.
I am so elated to be on the same screen as the Defense Secretary, and I get a chance to talk about what he said.
In certain areas, like for example, artillery guns and armored vehicles, or in some categories of missiles like the BrahMos and the Akash, we've come of age.
What Defense Secretary Sir said is 100% true, And today private industry can really increase their involvement in R&D.
I am very proud to say that we make in our categories that we have been supplying to our defense forces some of the best platforms in the world.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I hold CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit. Do you really know the company you invest in? What is the real picture behind presentations and claims? Is the outlook as rosy as the company claims? Know Your Company, powered by NDTV Profit Research, shines a light on the biggest stock market movers.
जनता के पास सवाल ही सवाल है। जवाब ढूंढने को वो देखती है न्यूज़ और देखती है यहां तो सवालों का मायाजाल है। ऊपर से ही अलग फाइट, कोई पूरा लेफ्ट तो कोई पूरा राइट है। बीच में मुद्दे के साथ कौन है, जनता को जवाब चाहिए। इसीलिए सवालों की परेड नहीं, मैं लाऊंगा खबरों की कचहरी। मैं शुभांकर मिश्रा, मेरे साथ देखिए कचहरी रात 8 बजे सिर्फ एनडीटीवी इंडिया पर।
Imports become the exception rather than the norm, and increasingly we do almost last year, for example, of the contracts that we signed of record 2,09,000.
Hello and welcome to Know Your Company. I am Mahima Vachrajani. This is a show where we take up one company every day and dissect the company in and out. And the company that we've picked today is IndiaMART Intermesh. It's a very interesting company. Why we have chosen this company? Well, first of all, it came out with its Q1 FY26 earnings over the weekend. A couple of things that I would want to know about this company, that is, when is the recovery expected in the silver category, because the churn has remained elevated in this particular category. In terms of the top 10 customers of this company, there is strong realization that has happened this quarter and has been happening since the past few odd quarters. Will this continue is something that we would want to know, and we would go ahead and ask the management about this as well. In terms of the margins have continued to improve, not only quarter on quarter basis but also on year basis. But we want to know as to how sustainable this margins growth is, because the company is spending in terms of their ad spends. They're going ahead and spending more and more on their ad spends, and that is bringing them unique business inquiries as well. So we want to know as to how sustainable margins will be going forward. Now, ad spends have driven up unique business inquiries, as I mentioned earlier also. We want to get a sense as to how ad spends will increase going ahead. What is the kind of trajectory looking like, and what will be the margin impact going forward because of that? The next thing that I want to know is that overall buyer traffic trends, what are they looking like? Because it's an interesting business where they are facilitating businesses overall. What are the buyer trends looking like right now, and what is the growth outlook looking like? The last one that I want to know is the kind of revenue contribution that is coming in from premier customers, because this is something that will augur not only their top line but also their margins going forward, and what percentage of their total revenue is coming from those premium customers, and what are they doing actually to retain their premium customers. So these are the few pointers that we would want to know about this particular company. Now on to what the company actually does. IndiaMART Intermesh, what is the company's operations looking like? First of all, it's India's largest online B2B marketplace. It's a two-way discovery marketplace. So a buyer can find a seller and a seller can find a buyer as well. It also has diversified effects across categories and geographies. I'll come to how the network is exactly for this company in the further slides. In terms of the algorithm that the company uses, that is behavioral driven. So overall, how the buyer reacts to any particular product or services is something that will drive the seller and vice versa. The services that empower business is something that this company actually does. In terms of the overall network, it's a well diversified business. Around 98,000 plus categories is something that the company already offers. Operational in 56 odd industries, as well as around 119 million products is something that they already carry. In terms of their overall geographies, in terms of buyers, if you take a look, metro cities is around 29%. There is tier 2 cities, which is around 24% buyers are coming from, and there is 47% buyers coming in from rest of the India. Now talking about the sellers, we've seen that metro city has the highest contribution there, around 53%. 27% comes from tier 2 cities in terms of where the sellers stand, and rest of the India, around 19% of the sellers come from there. In terms of their overall revenue model, it's basically a subscription based model with overall a negative working capital for the counter. In terms of the revenue breakup, in terms of the customer wise data, the top 1% customer is around 17% of their total revenue. In terms of and of course that includes 2,000 of their overall suppliers. Overall top 10%, that includes 22,000 suppliers, but that's 50% of their overall revenue. So this is a big chunk out there, and total they've got around 218,000 suppliers, which is almost of course the overall 100% of their revenues. Now in terms of the key competitive strengths, we talked about the network, but in terms of the key competitive strengths, they've got around 29 million unique business inquiries. There's 152 million overall replies and callbacks that the company generally gets. 43 million active buyers right now on their platform. Overall 58% repeat buyers, which is pretty high. I mean, as compared to something like a Just Dial, of 58% of percentage of repeat buyers is quite a good number. In terms of overall suppliers, that comes out to around 8.4 million. Paying suppliers, that's the 218,000, that's the paying suppliers that they have on their base right now. And lastly, in terms of their overall listed products, that includes 121 million listed products and 98,000 odd categories that I mentioned earlier as well. So that's with regards to where the entire about the company for IndiaMART Intermesh stands. Now to give viewers a perspective that how we will evaluate each of these parameters for these companies, we'll take a parameters of income statement first, followed by balance sheet, cash flow, as well as return ratio, and see how they fared in the past few odd years. Then we'll talk about how shareholding pattern is looking like for the counter. We'll also take a look at how the stock has performed over the past 5 odd years. We'll also take a look at valuations right now compared to its forward-looking valuations as compared to its peers as well. And lastly, in terms of what brokerages are penciling in when it comes to this counter. So without further ado, let's take a quick look on firstly the income statement as to how that is faring. Overall, in terms of the income statement, the revenue has seen overall a 3-year CAGR of 23%. So that's not a bad picture, especially in this particular business. In terms of FY22 revenues, they stood at around 7,500 odd crores, which has gone to almost 1,400 odd crores in FY25. So nearly doubled there. In terms of the EBITDA, the 3-year CAGR has been around 19%. So good growth there as well, from a 300 odd crore in FY22 to almost a 523 crore in FY25. In terms of the margins, there has been a slight dip as compared to where FY22 stood. FY22 the margins were at 41%, then they came to around 27 odd percent, and right now in FY25 they stand at around 38%. So sharp recovery in the past 3 years, but the question really here is whether it will be able to come back to those margin levels of 41%, considering that the company is spending heavily in terms of advertisements. So that's one question that we need to ask the management too. In terms of the net profit, the overall 3-year CAGR has been similar to that of the revenue CAGR. It's been at 23% from a 300 odd crores in FY22 to almost a 551 crore in FY25. So nearly doubled here as well in terms of net profit. Now in terms of how Q1 fared for the counter, the stock is under pressure today, but overall good set of numbers in Q1. Revenue was up almost 12%. EBITDA up 11%. Net profit has seen a significant growth of around 34%. Margins have taken a slight hit, but overall that's because of ad spends going up. In terms of operational metrics as well, collection from customers has grown at a CAGR of whooping 17%. License sold has also grown at a CAGR of 9% and net billing has also seen a CAGR growth of around 23%. So overall, in terms of where income statement stands, it's a thumbs up because both the top line as well as bottom line has grown over 23% in the past 3 odd years. That's a 3-year CAGR. Moving on to the next aspect, that's balance sheet. It's an interesting one. The company's equity has seen a slight raise in the past 3 odd years. Overall, the reserves have also continued to grow for the counter and they've maintained those reserves. And overall, if you see the cash in bank also, there's no borrowing for the company. And that's an important one because the company does not have any borrowing and the cash position also remains pretty stable from a 58 crore in FY23 to around 84 odd crore in FY25. Overall, all of these metrics indicate that a healthy balance sheet is there, and that's why we've given a thumbs up to where it comes to the balance sheet aspect as well. The next one then is cash flow statement, an interesting one here as well. Cash flow from operation has seen a steady growth when it comes to their overall operations from a 476 crore in FY23 to around a 623 crore in FY25, a steady growth in terms of where cash flow from operations is concerned. And this is despite of the kind of overall churn going on in the silver categories, plus the kind of headwinds that the entire industry has already seen. In terms of their cash flow from operations to PAT, that ratio has slightly come down, but it still stands at around 119% in FY25. So that's a strong percentage in terms of ratio to take a look at. Although it was at 178% at a given point of time in FY23, so that's an important aspect to keep in mind too. Lastly, in terms of net cash flow, negative in FY25, but overall, since the cash flow from operations to PAT is healthy, we've given this particular aspect a thumbs up when it comes to the cash flow statement. The next aspect is the return ratios. Return ratios have been topsy-turvy for this particular counter. If you take a look at the return on capital employed, at one given point of time it was 22% in FY21, then it went down to almost 9% in FY23. But it's bounced back in FY25 to that 19% mark. So the question here really is that whether they'll be able to maintain or even grow their return on capital employed going forward or not. The return on equity again at elevated levels in FY21 stood at around 30% came to the 14% mark in FY23 and now has grown to 28% and almost nearing that 30% mark in FY25. So the question really here is also that whether the company will be able to maintain that 28% in terms of ROE or maybe even grow further from that 28% mark and come back to the 30% mark where it was in FY21. The next one is shareholding pattern. Of course, for the return ratios, we've given it a neutral rating right now because we did see a dip as compared to where it was in FY21 coming back to FY23. So we'll have to wait and watch here as to how beyond that FY25 these return ratios perform, and that's the only reason as to why we've given a neutral rating to this particular counter. The next one is shareholding pattern. The shareholding in terms of the promoter, it's a well-held company. Promoters have continued to hold that 49% level in the counter. In terms of the FI holding, that has slightly come down. Not slightly come down. In fact, it's come down from the 26% mark to almost 18% mark. So FIs have been slowly selling in the counter. In terms of the DIs, the overall holding has gone up from a 5% mark in March 23 to to almost a 15.5% mark in March 25. So DIIs have been increasing their stake in IndiaMART Intermesh. Public holding has slightly come down from that 18% mark in 2023 to around 16% mark in 2025. The interesting aspect here is that number of shareholders have slightly come down for IndiaMART Intermesh from around 1,77,000 odd shareholders to around 1,68,000 shareholders is the count that we have as of March 25. So because FIs have been selling their stake in the counter and shareholders, number of shareholders have taken a slight dip, we've given a neutral rating to this aspect as well. The next one then is Street Cred. Interesting one. 1 month the stock has seen a growth of around 6 odd %. 6 months it's seen a growth of around 16 odd %. Year to date again 16 odd %. 1 year the stock has not done anything. I mean it's down around 0.7 odd %. And 5-year performance also of the stock has been muted. I mean it's given returns of only 117%, which is why this particular aspect we're giving it a thumbs down, because 5 years the share has disappointed their shareholders overall. Then it comes to valuations. Now the only peer right now in the listed space for IndiaMART is a Just Dial. As compared to Just Dial, IndiaMART is slightly expensive. The overall FY26 estimates as per Bloomberg suggest that the PE stands at around 30 times. That will go to around 28 times in FY27. This is again as per Bloomberg estimates. This as compared to Just Dial, which stands at around 13 times in terms of FY26 estimates, and will remain at that 13 times in 27 estimates as well. So because it is slightly expensive than where its peers stand, that is Just Dial, we've given it a neutral rating as of now for valuations picture. Lastly, in terms of analyst recommendations, where in terms of where the analyst recommendations stand, there are around 8 odd buys, 5 hold and 8 sell for this particular counter, and a return potential of around -1% as per what Bloomberg suggests. So that's with regards to where the analyst recommendations stand, and we've given this aspect also a thumbs down. So that brings us to the overall rating, and let's take a look at the overall rating as to where the company stands. Overall income statement thumbs up, balance sheet thumbs up, cash flow is a neutral, return ratio is a thumbs the cash flow is in fact a thumbs up and return ratios is neutral. Shareholding is neutral, street cred is thumbs down. Valuations again a neutral because as compared to peers it's slightly expensive, and street coverage thumbs down because there are 8 buys and 8 sells as well, and a negative return potential of around 1 odd %. And that brings us to the overall rating of 4.5 out of 8 for IndiaMART Intermesh. Now with that, let's also welcome in our guest for the day. We have Dinesh Agrawal, CEO and founder of IndiaMART Intermesh, joining us now. Mr. Agrawal, always a pleasure speaking with you. You know, before I move on to the details of the company, your sense of how the quarter has gone by. You know, it's been a good quarter. I was just going through your investor presentation. You know, operational metrics have improved, overall numbers have improved, net profit has seen a good growth. What is your sense? Did it meet your internal expectations? What's the view like?
Yes, I think given that last couple of quarters have been muted, I think we are happy to say that we are back to a 10% growth in the standalone collections, while the revenue from operations from the previous collection is showing muted growth. I think we are happy with the overall performance. We would have been happier if our churn would have come down and we could have added more number of paying subscribers. But otherwise, all in all, I think we are happier with the team performance and happier with the product performance.
Okay, Mr. Agrawal, you know, you've always been candid about how churn is very high in the silver category. And you know, I really appreciate that. But I just want to get a sense because, you know, in the past few odd quarters, we've been constantly observing that the churn rate has remained high in the silver category. When do you expect a recovery? And then how do you, you know, expect that impact to be on your financials?
See, 2 things will... First thing is that once the churn starts to improve, the only thing that we can do is improve the product and product market fit. You never know when do you get 100% right. So we continue to make changes cautiously to the products, as well as we are working towards training and education of our team as well as our newer customers. Now, once the churn comes to the little lower levels, if not pre-COVID levels, then I think we will start to spend money on the sales side of it, and that sales side of it money could have a impact on the EBITDA margin in the near term, but in the longer term, I think the overall growth in the business will continue to happen. Even today, we have about 50% of our customers, which are gold and platinum, contribute about 75% of our revenue and most of our profit. So I think our reliance on silver is lower in terms of the financial performance, but in terms of the growth outlook, I think we continue to work towards improving the product and servicing levels to see how we can improve the paid subscriber addition. From there, we can continue to nurture those customers into gold and platinum customers.
And is there a timeline in place or a possible target in place that you have in terms of converting those silver customers into gold and platinum?
I think silver customers converting into gold and platinum at a healthy pace. The basic issue is that the silver customers themselves are not staying enough. Our retention level for the first 1 year, that is the first target. I think how do we improve our retention level at the 1 year of the silver customers?
Okay, interesting. Mr. Agarwal, your margins have continued to improve, in the past few odd years. Just want to get a sense, because in terms of overall improvement, yes, year on year they've improved, but there was a given point of time when, you did have EBITDA margins of almost 41%. But if I'm not wrong, your guided range right now is anywhere between the 30 to 35% mark. Just give us a sense as to, what will be the proper range of margins that you're looking at, because 30 to 35% is a big range. Will it be at the higher end of that range? And is there a further scope of improvement there? And if yes, what will be the levers?
I think I have always guided to stick to around 33% of the margin for the longer term. Now, on a quarter-on-quarter basis, there might be changes, as well as on the year-on-year basis also there might be changes. But on a longer term, I would like to maintain an EBITDA margin of about 33%. That is what I have been guiding. Now, currently, because we are not making enough investments in the sales side because the churns are elevated, and that is why the EBITDA margin looks at 38-39%. So once we start to at a steady state level, I think if you look at the 3-5 year CAGR level, I think 33% is the right EBITDA to look at.
And in terms of your ad spends, because even they are going up, and that is what is actually bringing you your unique business inquiries, correct? You've guided for a 6 to 10 crore amount that you'll be putting aside every quarter for your advertisement spends, and that from your reading, I understand, will also increase going forward. Then what is the kind of impact that you're seeing on the margins, and what's the kind of overall growth trajectory that you're seeing in terms of your advertisement spends?
No, so currently I think 6 to 10 crores is a good number, and that amounts for about 2 to 3% of our revenue. That is taking into account, we are still guiding at a 33%. I think whenever if we are going to increase the advertising spend, we'll come back and let you know. Currently for the next 2 quarters or so, I think 6 to 10 crore rupees per quarter is a good number.
And Mr. Agarwal, what are the buyer traffic trends looking like right now?
Good. Actually, if you really see, after the COVID, 1 year of the buyer traffic was almost stagnant, because in the COVID, suddenly the buyer traffic had grown by almost 33%. And then when the markets opened up, market went to the offline markets as usual. However, from there on, we have started to see upwards of 10% growth in the buyer unique business inquiries. If you see in the last quarter itself, we have grown by 16-17% in the unique business inquiries. Out of that, about 10% is organic, and 6-7% came from the amount that we spent, about 6 crore rupees that we spent. So all in all, from that side, I think we are happy. We need to increase the repeat user base quickly and frequency of those repeat users quickly. If you see in the last quarter, it was the highest ever repeat user at 58%. We are confident that the product market fit, that changes that we are doing, they are working slowly and slowly, albeit slowly, but I think in the right direction.
Interesting. And do you have a internal benchmark in mind that you have right now for unique business inquiries as well as your collections and supply storefronts?
Yes, so I think unique business inquiry, if we continue to grow at 15%, that would be a very healthy number. On the collection and subscriber addition, as I said, since our churns are elevated, we are not able to guide anything in particular. In the past, if you see, our paying subscriber additions have also been growing at 10% and ARPU has also been growing at 6 to 8%, and that is what our collection was growing. Now, given the last couple of quarters, since there is a churn is elevated, most of the heavy lifting is being done by the ARPU, and ARPUs are growing consistently healthy. Even this particular quarter, 9% ARPU growth has come in. So I think we are happier on the ARPU growth, and that proves that for the gold and platinum customers, the product market fit is working very well on them. While on the silver side of the customers, we are still finding problems in retaining them for a larger number, and that we are working towards, and we will be able to solve in coming times also.
Today, in terms of the revenue contribution from premium customer, that is also on the rise, which is a positive for the company because that will also aid your bottom line and margins. What's the outlook there?
Yeah, we have consistently grown in the last 5 years. If you see, we were at 40% for the top 10% customer when our customer base was 1,50,000. Now our customer base is 2,20,000, and our top 10% customers are now paying about 50% of the revenue. As I said, gold and platinum account for almost 75% of our revenue contribution, and that is healthier for the company, and we will continue to inch up slowly and slowly on that.
Mr. Agrawal, one last question to you before I let you go. You know, March 25 ended with almost 1,400 crores in terms of your top line and 550 crores in terms of your bottom line. What's the target that you have in mind when it comes to FY26 for your top line and bottom line?
I think we will try for a double-digit growth, and let's see what happens.
And what would that range be in terms of double-digit?
I'm unable to give you any guidance. As I said, given the elevated churn, let us look at the double-digit growth if we can target.
All right, Mr. Agrawal, I tried my best to get that answer from you, but thank you so much for taking out the time and speaking to us at NDTV Profit, and all the best for the future.
Thank you, Mahima. Thank you.
All right. So that was the management of IndiaMART. Intermesh, interesting, conversation there. Margin guidance at that 33%. Management also plans to spend 6 to 10 odd crores, in terms of advertisement. Every quarter, premium segments will be the key lever, as well as management confident of the ARPU growth going forward as well. But with that, we're completely out of time on this edition of Know Your Company. Stay tuned to NDTV Profit for more news and updates on the other side.
जनता के पास सवाल ही सवाल है, जवाब ढूंढने को वो देखती है न्यूज और देखती है यहां तो सवालों का मायाजाल है। ऊपर से ये अलग फाइट है, कोई पूरा लेफ्ट तो कोई पूरा राइट है, बीच में मुद्दे के साथ कौन है, जनता को जवाब चाहिए। इसीलिए सवालों की परेड नहीं, मैं लाऊंगा खबरों की कचहरी। मैं शुभांकर मिश्रा, मेरे साथ देखिए कचहरी रात 8 बजे सिर्फ एनडीटीवी इंडिया पर।
They promised guaranteed returns. They advertised illegal trading in broad daylight. But NDTV Profit picked up the trail.
2 साल हो गए मैडम। डब्बा ट्रेडिंग कब से चल रहा है पता है मैडम आपको? हम और आप तो जन्म भी नहीं हुआ था हमारा।
We called, we questioned, we exposed.
ये आपको बिल्कुल उसका ऐसे हल्का सा भी खौफ नहीं है।
मैडम एक बात को खौफ किस लिए रखना चाहिए तो बताओ, कौन सा गलत काम कर रहा हूँ मैं?
Because your money deserves protection, not empty promises. Easy money, hard lesson. Stay alert. Verify before you invest.
गोल्ड प्लस ऑप्टिमिस्टिक रिफ्लेक्टिव ग्लास लगाओ, धूप की गर्मी को दूर भगाओ और बिजली का बिल भी बचाओ।
Imports become the exception rather than the norm, and increasingly we do almost last year, for example, of the contracts that we signed of record 2,09,000 crores, 81% was awarded to the domestic industry. Our intent is to manufacture in India, preferably with design also in India.
I am so elated to be on the same screen as the Defense Secretary, and I get a chance to talk about what he said.
In certain areas, like for example, artillery guns and armored vehicles, or in some categories of missiles like the BrahMos and the Akash, we've come of age.
What Defense Secretary Sir said is 100% true, and today private industry can really increase their involvement in R&D.
I am very proud to say that we make in our category.
Private banks lead the charge, pull the Nifty above 25,500, metals shine. In-line first quarter numbers for HDFC Bank, provisioning elevated due to one-time gain from HDB Financial. Meanwhile, ICICI Bank reports a strong set of numbers, provisions and profit beat estimates. And it's Axis Bank that is in the spotlight. Sources tell NDTV Profit that RBI may take away discretion from NPA management policy for the bank. Stay tuned for more updates. And on to another exclusive then. Sources tell NDTV Profit that Jane Street is also set to make a comeback in the Indian markets. The firm deposited over 4,800 crore rupees in an escrow account with SEBI last week. And Parliament's monsoon session kicks off. PM Modi reiterates commitment to make India the third largest economy. Emphasis that India is well on the path to achieve it. Meanwhile, Lok Sabha proceedings halted amid ruckus in the Parliament. And Japan's Prime Minister Ishiba says he hopes to speak to US President Donald Trump soon, aims to ink a deal beneficial for both the countries. This comes after Shigeru Ishiba suffered a bruising loss at the upper house. Hi there, you're watching Markets at 12 with me, Shreyansi Singh, and this is the show where we get you a highlight of everything that is happening in the market at this point in time. Let's take a look at what the markets are doing. Nifty just about managing to hold up that 25,000 level. In fact, that's what you're looking at in terms of the picture there. Let's take a look at some of the top sectoral gainers as well. So in terms of sectors, you do have sort of back foot performance from the IT sector. That's the one that's on the back foot. Other than that, there's oil and gas, FMCG also on the back foot. What's doing well, what's shining is the metals pack, finance as well, Nifty Bank, Nifty Defense, autos also in the front lane as well. So that's something that you're looking at. In terms of the top gainers from the Nifty 50 pack, you have Eternal, ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, Hindalco, as well as HDFC Life gaining anywhere between 1 to 3% thereabout. On the list of losers, on the other hand, you have an IndusInd Bank, Reliance, Wipro, HUL, HCL Tech, as well as Tata Consumer making it to that list. It's Mastech that is surging away in trade on the back of that strong set of numbers, and see it on the back foot on the back of that downgrade coming in from Nomura as well as Nuvama. So that is something that you're looking at as well in terms of some of the handover that we have coming in as far as some of these banks are concerned. Of course, we'll be getting you more on the action when banks are concerned in terms of the private banks, the entire setup that we have, as well as the mid-sized banks and the performance for those. But tell you what, let's take a look at Axis Bank as well, because we do have an NDTV Profit exclusive. Sources, in fact, tell us that RBI may take away discretion from NPA management policy as well. Let's see if we can try and get Vishwanath Nair to join us on this story. But before that, of course, we do also have to talk about Canfin Homes. In the first quarter, you do have the profit increasing, the net NPA also worsening. So tell you what, let's also take that conversation forward. Talk to Suresh Iyer, who's the MD and CEO of the company of Canfin Homes. Sir, thank you so much for joining us. A very good afternoon to you. I wanted to understand what's your first take when it comes to the profit. What are some of the key levers when you look at the profit number?
Yeah, good afternoon. First of all, thank you for inviting. See, in terms of the profitability, I think you can see that we have maintained our spreads. We have maintained or rather improved our spread and our NIM, and that has been mainly because of the way we have received the benefit of the cost reduction and the repo rate cut. Going forward, in fact, in terms of profitability, I think we are quite comfortable because of the guidance remains the same as in terms of profitability. As for the key other matrices in terms of which include in the cost, we have a cost to income ratio which is slightly gone up, but that is mainly because of increase in staff costs. We have had a staff revision, salary revision, and a little bit because of our expansion, because we have opened 15 offices last year and 6 zonal offices, which are large offices. We have set an internal additional layer also. So that's the main reason. Otherwise, everything is under control in terms of cost and.
Hi, Suresh. This is Harsh also joining in. Good chatting with you. Good afternoon. Suresh, let me try and have your take. There's one large private sector bank which came out with numbers this weekend which suggested very intense competition within the housing finance space and saying that pricing is not the best, and there's a price war happening. What's your take?
See, in terms of the PSU banks, definitely because the repo rate cut is there and they are compelled under the EBR guidelines. So the rate has been passed on to the customers for new customers as well and existing customers. So in that sense, there is definitely, a competition or, customers demanding for a rate revision or a lowering of their interest rates. But in terms of the private sector banks or in terms of the HFCs or NBFCs, there hasn't been anybody who has reduced the rates. In fact, among the HFCs, only LIC Housing Finance, I believe, has reduced 25 basis points for its existing and new customers. And we have also reduced 25 basis points for our existing and new housing customers. We did a 10 basis points reduction in May and a further 15 basis points effective July. So basically, whatever we have experiencing in terms of our cost of borrowing, we are passing on to our customers as well. And therefore, in terms of transparency, in terms of this, I believe, yes, there is a pressure from the customers for reduction in the rate of interest. However, it's only the PSU banks who have done it. And coming to the PSU banks, basically, because they have, their pressures are also, their NIMs are also coming under pressure. So on ground, we don't see so much of at least in the segment that we are operating, because we are actually a little, a layer below the PSU banks. Our average ticket size is about 24 lakhs. So in that segment of high ticket business, definitely the customers are will probably opt to go for PSU banks. But we are below the radar of the PSU banks because their average ticket size are roughly in the 35 to 40 lakhs. And ours is about 24 lakhs. So far we have not seen. You will also see that our prepayment ratios have been quite stable. On a normal quarter, it ranges between 3.6 to 3.8. In this quarter also, it has been 3.81, which is not very different from what we've been seeing for the last 12 to 16 quarters. So far it's not we've been witnessed, and we have passed on 25 bips to our customers.
Got it. So you've passed on 25 bips. Now talk to us about the journey of the margin number, because that will come to the fore, given that we've got a large 50 basis point rate cut which has just come through. So give us the texture of margins maybe over the next 2-3 quarters. What should an investor expect?
See, from our side, actually, we pass on to our customers after we experience on our liability side. Right. And we had, if you recollect, in the last 1 year, moved all our MCLR-linked bank term loans to repo-linked bank term loans. So on the bank side, we are getting it, although it comes depending on the terms of the contract, maybe within a quarter, some after the month, some after a couple of days and so on. So in fact, we still have about, close to 3,000 crores, 2,500 to 3,000 crores, where we are yet to experience that 50 bips benefit from the banks, which will come through in the next maybe 10 to 15 days. So therefore, our cost of borrowing is also going to come down, and we may be able to pass on something further to our customers, maybe in August or in September, depending on when we get the benefit. Another thing is our major about 15 to 17% of our borrowing comes from NHB. And the regulator also has yet to announce, a repo rate cut impact in their cost of refinance to us. So maybe if that comes again, it will help us in slightly passing on to our customers. But from the cost, you can see that whatever impact we have experienced on our cost side, which is about 10 basis points, we passed on in the last quarter itself. And beginning this quarter, we have also experienced another 15 basis points, which also we have passed on. So I am quite confident we'll be able to maintain the spread and NIM for our portfolio on our books, because we will be passing on only post. And another feature which normally is that, we have a quarterly reset and we moved from an annual reset to quarterly reset in January 2024. But as of today, only about 1/3 of our book is still under quarterly. So the remaining 66-67% of our book, which is annual reset, there will be a lag in terms of the pass on which the customers will have, unless customers come forward and opt to shift to a quarterly reset.
Got it. So in fact, it should benefit you. If anything, there should be a positive bias. Is that the conclusion?
That is possible because, as I said, only 5% of the customers in the last 1 quarter have opted to shift from annual to quarterly reset. So if, the customers do not come forward, then, the transmission for them will be a little delayed.
Got it. Understood. Give us some texture around what the loan growth target is for FY26. And if I can try and push you maybe the next 2 to 3 years, what is the growth target? How are you playing growth in terms of geography? Those two pieces.
Sure. See, in the last couple of years, we've had a period where we have actually reviewed our entire processes, controls. We've had to improve a lot of internal processes. Even our IT transformation and upgradation has been going on for the last 2 years. So growth in terms of disbursement has been a little subdued. That is why our growth in terms of the AUM was also lower, and as you know, it comes with a lag, so it was around 9%. But this year we are looking at around 10,500 crore kind of a disbursement. Therefore, it will result in about a 13% AUM growth, because we have about, as you can see, 1,400 to 1,450 crore of quarterly reset of, a repayment coming through or amortization happening. So that about 5,000 crore will be the amount, which probably about 5,500 crores will be the amount of repayment and amortization that will happen. So net addition to the book will be about 5,000 crores, which will translate to about 13% AUM growth. That is for FY26. Now, going forward with this kind of growth that we are looking at from 8,500 to 10,500 crore, which is about 20-25% disbursement growth, next year also we will be a positive that the disbursement growth will continue. So therefore, with a lagged effect, I think next year onwards, we can expect about a 15% AUM growth.
Got it. And where should the ROA typically, where do you expect that? At what level? Because March 25, you saw that ROA number to be at 2.6. We've come off those highs, of course, and that was anticipated. You had mentioned that as well, that 2.2 is the more realistic number. Does that continue to be the number you will gun for even through cycles?
That is true. We are looking at a 2.2 ROA and around a 17% ROA kind of a numbers only for this year as well. As you can see, we have a 3.5 to 3.6 NIM, And our credit costs and OPEX and all, when you factor in, it comes to around 2.2, I think is quite comfortable. We should be able to work around 2.15, 2.2 in terms of ROE.
All right, and thank you so much, Mr. Iyer, for taking time out and joining us this afternoon. Thank you so much for sharing the outlook as well as the complete picture when it comes to the first quarter results as well. But tell you what, let's move on. Let's get you the update coming in as far as Axis Bank is concerned. In fact, onto an NDTV Profit exclusive. Then sources tell us that RBI may take away discretion from NPA management policy. Vishwanath Nair, in fact, is joining in with all of those exclusive details.
Right. So what's happened here is that there was some kind of a management policy change as far as NPA management is concerned at Axis Bank, which resulted in a sudden sharp spike in the bad loans in Q1. In fact, Q1 slippages shot up to 8,200 crore because of these policy changes that the bank had made. What we are learning from sources is that this was done because RBI pointed out that the bank was taking a more liberal interpretation of NPA management norms, and that needed to be changed, and certain qualitative parameters needed to be established before the bank could call an account an NPA or upgrade it from an NPA to a standard account. So these rules were changed because the RBI told Axis Bank to do so. After that, of course, as I said earlier, 8,200 crore slippages. Of course, a net profit for the bank was hit by about 614 odd crore. ROA and ROE for Axis Bank in Q1 also dipped. There was a sharp sort of reaction. But it was interesting because when a specific question about RBI's involvement in this entire thing was asked to the management, at that point in time, the management did not give a clear response. In fact, we'll toss to that response by the CFO, Puneet Sharma, who said that RBI did not actually ask the bank to do anything of this nature.
I will not comment on inspection, but I will give you a confirmation that this is not an RBI triggered change. This is a change that we have triggered on our